Well, hello then, I do hope you're all well. Now, it was the first day back in Parliament, and so it was the same for Priti Patel, but possibly the last time, and possibly to be schooled by Yvette Cooper over the rising crime that's been happening under this extreme Brexit Tory government. Now, just watch the jumping up like a stroppy teenager, and banging her book on the dispatch box, and the figure wagging. Pure comedy gold.
We now come to Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This should be interesting.
As this may be the Home Secretary's last questions, can I just recognise the unseen work that she and all her predecessors have to do on national security and on warrants that often goes unrecognised, and also join with the Home Secretary in paying tribute to Olivia Pratt-Corbell, Thomas O'Halloran and the other victims of devastating knife and gun crime which has escalated this summer. Mr. Speaker, stabbings are now 60% higher than in 2015, yet the number of violent criminals caught is at a record low. There is a serious problem in this country with gun crime, with gangs, with knife crime. Not my words, but those of the incoming Prime Minister. So why have successive Conservative Home Secretaries allowed it to get this bad?
Home Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, if I may, in response to the honourable lady, she will know perfectly well in terms of not just the record of this government, but actually for many years, which is something the party opposite and the right honourable lady has not supported, boosting police funding, including the work that took place with the Police Crime Courts and Sentencing Bill, which actually had all the right deterrents in place to go after criminals and ensure that they're given the right kind of sentences, supporting serious violence reduction units, and also extending the capabilities around stop and search. These are the very tools and tactics that the police have, and of course it's this government that has supported them every single step of the way, not just in backing them, but equipping them and empowering them to go after the criminals, but also working with the criminal justice system to ensure that the right sentences are given out.
Something tells me she's not a Yvette Cooper fan. Judging by the way she jumped up there, slammed her book on the dispatch box, and went off on her rant. Not a fan.
But the Conservatives have cut the funding for policing, and they brought in lots of legislation that has not worked. Stabbings are up by 60%, and over 90% of violent criminals now get away with it. That is way higher than it was just 7 years ago. The National Police Chiefs Council has said detection and charge rates for a range of crimes have fallen over the past 5 years. This has been impacted by austerity and the loss of thousands of police officers and staff and backlogs in the court system. That is a damning reflection on 12 years of Conservative policies on policing and crime. So on her last day in the job, can she tell us, does she think that 43 police chiefs are wrong?
Mr. Speaker, it's this government that has delivered over 13,000 additional police officers. That's 69% of the 20,000 that we have set in our target by March 2023. And not only that, Mr. Speaker, it's our government that has been committed from day one to reducing serious violence by putting an end to tragedies. We've invested over £130 million in tackling serious violence, including £64 million for violence reduction units. I think, Mr. Speaker, it's important to remind the House, the public and the honourable lady as well that at every single step of the way, she and her party opposite have voted against every single law enforcement measure that this government has brought in, including our legislation, police, crime courts and sentencing people. And I quite frankly would suggest that
Need to step in. We've got to get through some topicals. At this stage, we'll not go any further. Can we get back to what topical is meant to be? Short, quick, on both asking and answering. And if Firth is going to give us a good example.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Proper hilarious, I thought it was. All that jumping up, shouting and then spouting on about investing 16,000 new officers 12 years after getting rid of 21,000. Right, that's it. Problem solved then, I suppose. What an idiot. But the thing is for me is, these pathetic Tories, you can clearly see they get really affronted when shown their utter failings. And for me, Priti Patel, I think, is probably the worst one for it. And I feel all I can say is that Thank you, Lindsay Hoyle. You could have cut in a little bit earlier, because she was proper grating, wasn't she? What? Just showed you that she's just wholly inadequate for frontline politics, in it, let alone backbench politics as well. Right, I do hope you enjoyed the video, and until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.